Welcome to the Ginger Snap Podcast. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Stephanie.
And this week is episode 4, and we're going to be talking about toxic positivity. So, Steph, you want to give them a little definition of what that means for us?
So, toxic positivity, at least in my words and from my experience, it is when someone is so focused on looking at positive in every situation that it can become almost delusional. And they sort of refuse to acknowledge the negative side situation or, just looking at it for what it is. That's pretty much, I mean, in a nutshell, that's how I would describe it.
And kind of in denial, I think, a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely a big part of it too, is denying that some things can really run you down and have a negative impact. And it's okay to acknowledge that. And a lot of times that's how we, acknowledging that is how we process things and get through them and heal.
Even like in the smallest things too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be in small things and in more major situations. The whole sliding scale.
Okay. So before we really dive into it, how are you feeling this week?
I'm feeling kind of blue, actually. I've had a lot of kind of depressive moments, but along with our topic this week though, I am getting through it. I'm allowing myself to feel my feelings, whether that be, sadness or frustration or whatever, but then I'm also, really working on finding the balance because there's also good things too. So I've been able to kind of find a middle ground. So I've been a little depressy, a little stressy and depressy, but I'll be okay. I've been through worse.
This is usually the season for it too. Yeah. The times changed and it gets darker sooner. I don't know about where you are, but down here it's definitely
absolutely.
like 5:30, 6 o'clock. It's dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that might have a lot to do with it too, because I do have seasonal affective disorder. Yeah. Seasonal.
I didn't know seasonal depression was a thing until my diagnosis, and I started really digging deep into everything.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. And I think a lot more people go through it than what we even realize. Because it's not, it is talked about, but it's not a whole super lot. So, how about you? How have you been feeling?
I wouldn't say like not sad and not even really depressed or even borderline. I went to the doctor today and there is a possibility that I might have to have surgery on my knee. Obviously I can't confirm that without imaging. We have to see what that says, and news like that at this point in my life and what's going on, being in school and all of the focus that I need for that. I need to be there during this season, this semester. I can't miss any days.
Right.
So that's really a hard pill to swallow today, but I'm trying to be positive. I did get an injection to help with pain and swelling, and so hopefully with that, it'll get better. I'm going to look into getting a knee brace and also shoe inserts to help, because I think I was really overcompensating is what triggered this scenario that I'm going through. So hopefully that'll help and it'll get me through this semester. If the imaging shows that I have to have surgery, hopefully I can put it off when I have a break or even finish school, because I'll be done summer next year. So fingers crossed that it can be managed until then, because I really don't want to have to repeat a semester. If I have
No.
to, I have to. Do I want to? Obviously not. But otherwise everything else is going okay. So I'm just like you, trying to be on the positive side of it and not worry about it too much and just give it to God and say, this is in your hands. Going to school was your plan. So here it is. I'm giving this to you, and we're just gonna go through it together.
Staying positive without being toxically positive.
Yes. Or without being
Still acknowledging,
delusional or
like,
in denial. And, I can't say, well, it is what it is, but I just feel like so defeated this year. There has been so much going on. It's like, okay, let's add another layer to the cake. But yeah, it's just, to me, spiritually, I look at it as an attack. I know I'm on the right path because all of these things keep piling up. But that's just, in the end, that's what's going to make me a stronger person. This is what makes me resilient and helps me realize how strong I am and how much of a fighter and how determined that I am. I'm having to take the negative and turn it into a positive, because not only is this going to be a career, but it's my identity. And so I'm not letting anything get in my way.
proud of you.
Yeah. I'm proud of you too. You're in school too. So, we're both going through a
Yes.
lot and doing a podcast and, trying to
Right.
maybe entertain some people or give them knowledge all at the same time. So yeah, we've put a lot on our plates, but if we help one person, it'll be worth it.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I feel like I'm rambling, so let's get into it.
No, no, that was perfect. That was perfect. And I'm excited to, build up a community with our podcast.
It's the whole point.
Bring people together and give people, a support system who may not really have much support system. There's people out there who don't really have people to talk to. That for them.
And even people that don't interact, people think, well, I want to comment, but I'm shy, or what if they think this or that, whatever. My thoughts are, a bully's going to be a bully, and they're hiding behind a keyboard. Who cares? Say what you need to say.
Right.
DM us, get on our TikTok, and send us a private message, whatever. So we're here to encourage.
Right. Exactly. So, given our topic this week, I guess I will go first, because I actually came up with the idea for our topic this week. I dated someone a long, long, long time. This was ancient times now. Relationship didn't really last long, but this person was obsessed with being positive about absolutely everything. And that was kind of how this idea came about in my mind. Like, this is kind of more of a hindrance to mental health, I think, than a help, because people do need to talk about their negative feelings, negative emotions. I think that's how we kind of release it and get it out there. Because if we just keep kind of stuffing it down and covering it with, like, oh yeah, this is all going on, but everything's gonna be okay, like, still, I think, need to get those emotions out and have people to confide in and have some sort of outlet, no matter what it is, even if it's just like talking to friends, talking to a therapist, which, by the way, we say this every episode, but it's important. We are not mental health professionals. Yep. We are not medical professionals. We are just here for emotional support. If you need to see a therapist or talk to somebody, there's the National Suicide Hotline. Go get your therapist. Do whatever you need to do for you. That being said, back to what I was saying, people need some sort of outlet for, their trauma, or, rough things that they're going through, stressful situations, whatever they're dealing with at the time. And I just feel like just staying perky and positive is, a lot of times it's not a help. I think that is as much of a hindrance to people's mental well-being than, just being negative and never looking at the good side of it. I think it's just, you know, it's the opposite side, but it's just as damaging. I
I agree. I think there's a huge misconception. I know with me, I struggle with RBF. I can't help it.
I
I'm so sorry. I'm not this bubbly, perky, that's just not my personality. But that doesn't mean that in that moment, I'm not happy. I've
right.
always told people close to me, if I ever won the lottery, like the millions or billions or whatever, I would not be the one that would be jumping up and down with excitement on the outside. Now, inside, I would be very excited. You might see me smile. I'm sure you would see me smile. But I'm not just this peppy, bubbly person. That has never been my personality. A topic for another story, or another episode. But I was always felt like certain people in my life that when I acted that way as a child, they were annoyed. And I learned that that behavior was not okay around them. And I was around them a lot. So I became the quiet kid. My actions were due to their reaction. So
I can relate to that too.
I learned at a young age that, and I wasn't the child that would like run in the house either. I was always taught running is for outside, not inside. Loud noises are for outside, not inside. So I don't know. Like I said, it's another topic for another episode. But I think that's where that came from. Me not
Yeah.
being able to show outwardly how I feel. That's where that started. So, sorry, I lost my words. Denial. So I think that's the toxic denial for me. I just for a long time filed everything away back in the file cabinet. And didn't deal with things, especially with the death of my grandparents. It was like, okay, yeah, this is sad. We're going to save this and bury it away for another day. And then I would have that seasonal depression. And here comes the anniversary of their death. Here comes their birthday again, and lay in bed and cry and not be able to function for a day. It took me decades to get over that and finally figure it out. No, you can't just bury your feelings when they pass away. You have to, if you're somebody that holds on to those, you have to go through the motions. Yes, you need time to grieve. I'm not saying that. Everybody has their own time in their own way. For me, it was therapy to actually talk through that, and have somebody that was licensed validate those feelings and actually listen to me and give me the tools to move forward with my life, because I feel like I've wasted a lot of my life being in denial. And that even runs into any other type of relationship, because I would build a wall because I'm too close to you, or I feel like I'm getting too close to you. So let's put up a wall. So if I lose you in one way or the other, doesn't have to be through death, it won't hurt as bad. If I can't open up to you fully and give you my whole self, I've even noticed myself doing it to my kids. And I hate that. I've acknowledged it. We've even had conversations about it. I'm sorry that I became this person. And we've really had a lot of long conversations about it at different stages of their life. And I think we're okay now.
Yeah.
They understand, especially with grandkids. My daughter starts to understand a little bit more, just like I did when I had my kids. I understood my mom and my dad a little bit differently, and actually had to eat crow and apologize for things that I did. And I'm like, okay, I can see this now. Now that I'm a parent, I see it. So, yeah, I think we carry different things that we've gone through with us throughout any type of relationship that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of you for being able to take accountability, because there are a lot of parents and people general who can't take accountability for like having to become certain versions of themselves, in different eras of their lives or whatever, to be able to look back on it and say like, I am sorry that I, acted that way, or I said that or did that or whatever, but to be able to acknowledge it and take accountability and then make the effort to do better from there, that's, I think that's the important.
I mean, you have to evolve, not just as a parent, but even like as a caregiver.
Yes.
I'm getting to an age and my parents are getting to an age where I can see in, the I would hope not the near future, but more than likely, in the career that I'm in, I can recognize and I can see things that my parents are going to start becoming more dependent on me.
Mm-hmm.
So we're evolving that way. They are evolving in acknowledging the fact that they're going to have to give up some independence, and that means me being more involved in certain things and take control over certain things. Uh, getting a will. I'm an only child, but having that will in place and doing all those older parent type things. And with my kids, it's, like I said, them understanding where I'm coming from now, and making those relationships better. My daughter and I go round and round about how the baby of the family is treated differently than what they were, but they don't understand we were all at different stages in life. The
Mm-hmm.
scenario's different. And I've told her, I have changed my parenting style because what worked for you and your older brother doesn't work for your younger brother. It's just it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. I've tried to change how I talk through things and address things, and he's actually my sensitive child, so of course I have to approach him different. Because if not, he's going to be very upset and we're not going to get anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So she still sees that as unfair, but I think as her children get older, she has one that's almost 2 and pregnant with her second. So she's going to be in that same scenario of, might work for the boy, but guess what? Little girl might not be that way. So it just depends on the person.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Different personalities.
Yep.
Absolutely. I see that with my own 2 kids. I have a daughter and then a son. They're a year apart, but um 2 completely different personalities. So yeah, definitely what works for one may not work for the other.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like we're all different. It's what makes life interesting and what makes the world go around.
Yeah. I mean, and to me too, that it's a little, I don't know that I would still say toxic, but I think she sees it that way.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
she'll just tell me,
And
be
it,
like,
different perspectives
yeah,
too. It's interesting what the way that one person might, view something is different from the way someone else might view the same exact situation, but it doesn't necessarily mean that one or the other is wrong. Like we all have our own truth. Like this is how I saw it. This is how it affected me, and it doesn't make one person necessarily right or wrong. It's just like that's how it was for them.
oh, I've had so many conversations with family about things like that. Just because you were on the outside looking in doesn't mean that just because one person told their side, you've never seen, heard, or asked me about my side. Stop
Yes.
judging. Stop having that mentality of, I'm the adult, you're the child.
Hmm.
It's not correct.
Hmm.
And that
Yep.
as a child is frustrating. As an adult, being the child, and trying to have that conversation with a parent of, well, you're remembering that wrong.
Yep.
No,
Yep. Or that didn't
don't.
happen. Oh, I never said that. Oh, yes, you did, because it is branded onto my brain.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. Don't gaslight me. I was there.
Yep.
I experienced it. I know what happened. You're not going to try to disprove my reality.
Yes. Yes. Sure. I think I just totally lost my thought. I had a thought go in and I had a thought go right out.
I hate it when that happens.
I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about all
Mhm.
of that. Maybe, but yeah,
I
no,
don't know
that's
if
it.
like if that's like an only child type of thing, because you and I are the only child.
It might be. It's interesting that you say that. I never thought about it that way, but I am the true only child in my entire family. I have a huge family for being an only child. I have a lot of cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am the true only child, and I kind of got um ostracized because I have no siblings to vouch for me. I grew up away from all of my cousins. You know, they didn't see my daily life. They didn't see the way, the person that raised me treated me. They don't know what went on in my house. I went through all of that alone, and they don't want to hear about it because it ruins this perfect image that they have of that person. Raised me, and I use that term lightly. In my opinion, I raised myself, but that's for another. That'll be for my testimony when
Yeah.
I'm ready for that. But yeah, that's
Well,
nobody really knows what happens behind closed doors. What you experience, person, may not be what somebody else does, and I've read things about this, and I've watched podcasts. I've you know researched this myself. Like, we are different versions of ourselves to so many different,
yep.
and you could be like this the sweetest peach out of the bunch, and there's still going to be somebody that doesn't like peaches and has a
Yep.
negative opinion. It doesn't make them right. You're just not their type of person.
Yeah. I mean, there's
You
certain
know,
things that,
different personalities clash.
yeah, and there's a certain version of me, just like a standard that everybody's going to get from me. It's not necessarily what you see is what you get. Don't assume. There are different layers to me, and unfortunately, because of everything that I've gone through, if you really, truly want to get to my core, you have to be patient with me. And you have to peel back those layers. I love, in the movie Shrek, Donkey's like, oh, you got layers. You got to peel them back one at a time. And that really has stayed with me. And the light bulb clicked in that moment. It's like, oh, wow, I really relate to that. So I've always used that analogy. You got to peel back the onion layers one at a time. And it's not your fault, especially if you're new in my life. I'm typically very transparent and an open book to just about anybody that I feel like I can trust. That's the key. If I can trust you, uh, you know, I'll open up. But if I don't,
And
no offense to you, but there's something there, a little voice in my head, call it God, call it your conscience, that's like, hey, this is not the person. Or
yep,
this is not the place,
if
this
the
is not the
vibes are
time.
not vibing,
Yep. Dig a little deeper, let them try to peel back some more layers, whatever it is, but you got to put a stop to it right here. And so I have learned over the years when to do that, when to not do that. I'm acknowledging when I'm starting to overshare, and then I'll shut down. I'll stop sharing. because I hit the brakes. Because that little voice in my head is like, no, not this person. So, it's not anybody's fault that I went through what I went through as far as being relevant in my life now, that things might be a little difficult if we're trying to build a friendship or, whatever, but I can't help it. I've been burnt so many times. I've had to put up so many walls. You're really going to have to work very hard to knock those walls down and peel back the layers. So I've been shown in the last several years who is really willing to stick around, who's willing to pull back the layers and start breaking those walls down. And it's sad because there's a lot of people that that I care about that I kind of felt the same way, and then it's like hitting a brick wall at 100 miles an hour when it's not reciprocated. It really hurts. Or somebody you think that you can trust betrays you.
And I think to a certain extent, I think it is good to like take our time with people and put those boundaries up and make sure that we can trust them. But at the same time, I know I've had friends in cases where like I was friends with them for years and I was absolutely sure I could trust them. And then all of a sudden they turned on me.
Yeah,
and
decades.
you're sitting there thinking like after all this time, seriously, you're just gonna switch up on me like that. So it's a scary thing to like let ourselves be vulnerable with people. And once we decide like we can open up to them, sometimes it comes back around to bite you, and that really that's not our fault either. We control other people's behavior. So it's definitely sad when it happens, but I think to a certain extent it is good to be leery of who you can and can't confide in about stuff.
I always go back to the whole Tyler Perry thing with, he does that stand up with Medea, and the same video keeps popping up for me over and over and over. And I don't know all the characters because I'm not like seeing the movies or whatever, but sitting on the couch talking, and this person's really like, you can tell that they're sad. And she's like, okay, look, people are like a tree. You don't need somebody that's just going to be there for a season. You need some roots. You need people that are really going to settle down and be a foundation for you, to uplift you and whatever. But some people were put in your life just to be a leaf. And when the seasons change and they fall away, you've got to let them go. Don't go chasing. If they're going to walk out of your life for whatever reason, let them go.
One of my favorite quotes ever is, your destiny is never tied to anyone who left.
And that's not always a reflection of you either. That's, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's nothing personal, but like there's, people are fighting their own internal battles and it might not have anything to do with you. It's just like they need to go this way now and can't take you with them because this is where they need to be headed in their lives. And, it's hard, like with me having borderline personality disorder, and I have the fear of abandonment because of the way I grew up. My nervous system is terrified of losing who are important. Absolutely terrified. And it's still something that I struggle with. I've gotten a lot better, especially over the past few years. The older I've gotten, I'm about to turn 37. So I've come a long way from when I first got my diagnosis about 13 so years ago. But yeah, it's been hard to kind of talk myself through that. And I know like every alert in my nervous system is going off, but I'm able to use my wise mind, as they call it, and, sort of ground myself and be like, hey, like we've been through this before. It's not your fault. This has nothing to do with you, and you're gonna be okay. And kind of I had to learn to stand on my 2 feet, so to
Whereas
speak.
whereas I'm still struggling with that. Like,
I mean, I still struggle with it. It's just it's tough. Like it does and it doesn't get easier. Like you develop the coping skills that are kind of needed, but it's still rough. Sometimes, there's good days and there's bad days. There's I call them flare days where, sort of I feel like I have like all these spring like popping off inside of me, and
like
it's like
fight or
I my
flight.
nervous can't calm down. Yeah, my nervous system can't calm down some days, and I
Yeah.
have to kind of learn to just ride that out
You know,
and regulate myself.
I try to do that, but at the same time, it's like you've got to feel your feelings. You've got
Yep.
to go through all the steps, and it's like I don't know. I try not to put myself in a position where I know I'm going to get depressed. Yes, do I want to listen to all the rage music, all the "I hate you, you did this to me," but kind of music, but at the same time, I might listen to one or two, but then it's like, okay, you've got to start listening to the empowering music. The fearless, the warrior, you're the survivor type of stuff, because I've really noticed the more I listen to the negative, obviously the more negative I'm going to be. This took me a long time to realize that, and I was actually comfortable, and that's scary to say, but comfortable feeling the way that I was, because that had become my normal. How toxic is that? Being in denial of, you know, not wanting to feel your feelings, and you stay in a state of depression because that's all you know. And everybody around you is enabling you.
I lived like that for a long time, and I really had to take a look at the people around me and cut a lot of people off. And that again, as a borderline, super difficult for me. But I had to look at the reality of, the effect that the people around me were having on me, or, the things I was doing, the lifestyle I lived, um, had to and it contributed to a lot of like my bipolar and stuff, my sleep schedule and everything, and all the, you know, parties and stuff I was going to, and I would induce a manic episode and not acknowledge that that's what it was, you know? And I would, even your sleep really can affect your mood. You are
Oh,
not
yeah.
getting good sleep and enough sleep. It amplifies
I will spiral quickly if I don't
all
get
of
sleep.
that.
Yeah. And when I got diagnosed, I had already pretty much decided to quit drinking. I had cut way back. Not that I was a heavy drinker, but um, I had other health issues going on too. But I decided that I was going to cut it out completely. And I think I've had 2 nights where I've drank since I've been diagnosed. And it was only a drink or two, and that was it. But alcohol can definitely contribute to that.
Yes. My lack of sleep and how much I was drinking back then, and this was, early 20s when, a lot of people are going out and partying
No, I was too.
going and hanging out with people like that's,
Yep.
that's what you do in your 20s, right? Like mid 20s I had my kids, but I mean like early 20s, like 21 to 24, I would say, like those 3 years I barely slept. I was working a full-time job, but I also had this friend, and I was always doing something with someone, even if it was just, people coming over and staying up all night, hanging out with people, and then not even really going to bed, and then going working for 8 or 9 hours, and then coming home, taking a nap for a couple hours, and then getting right back to it, and I've always been a night owl.
Mhm.
And that was a rough adjustment. First became a mom. That was, rough for a while, but I've learned to regulate it to where it's, it's a lot more tolerable. I sleep a lot better than I did. Definitely when I was younger, a lot of that probably comes with just getting old, like my body getting older and me needing the sleep and really feeling it extra when I don't. But yeah, it can really affect your mood and the way you react to things and your thoughts, everything, your overall health, immune system, get sick, and life going like that's rough too.
Yep, I've
So it
noticed
all kind of
it really
ties in
takes.
together. You don't really think about it till till something happens. Whoa, maybe I should slow down and start taking better care of myself.
It's kind of where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I was just there. I think I got my point across.
Yep. Now, getting old is definitely not fun.
No,
So we just have to take better care of our whole body,
because
including our mind.
your mental health and your physical health, all that really ties in together.
It does.
And you don't realize it until you actually sit down and think about it. Like, wow, this is really, I mean, I, I've gone through times in my life where I've been so stressed, it makes me physically sick. And then I get nauseous and I actually get sick, like I have the flu, but it's not the flu, it's stress. And my body can't, my nervous system can't handle it. So that's how that manifests itself. Rough. So definitely, yeah, I think the farther we go along in the podcast, we should also definitely discuss self-care. Like I know you and I have talked about you know, off camera or whatever, or what, we're not recording. Um, yeah, self-care is definitely an important thing. So maybe let us know in the comments like what your favorite forms of self-care are.
I think that would be a good
Yeah.
idea for us to do shorts on those, like individually,
Mhm.
or even we could do that together, but just, maybe
Right.
that there's something that one of us do that somebody else is like, okay, hey, let me try that. I've never thought of this before.
Right. Yeah, so if you guys have any suggestions, let us know below in the comments.
Of course, suggestions
Like
on
and
anything.
subscribe. Yep. Anything. Even any comments about, stuff we brought up. Have you experienced toxic positivity from people in your life? Have you yourself
Been
become
toxic, or toxic to the point where you've just had to cut somebody off.
yeah.
That's
I mean, you can be toxic in a positive or a negative way.
mhm.
Like I said, I think they're both can equally be harmful. Anything in excess
Yep.
can be harmful.
And I actually feel okay saying that I have been toxic because you're taking accountability for your actions. You're acknowledging, you're not trying to be dismissive or gaslight people into thinking, no, I wasn't that way. I didn't do this or that, whatever. You have to be
Yep.
honest. If you want to grow and move forward, you have to be honest with everybody,
Yep.
including yourself.
Yep. You really have to, assess the situation. Ask yourself, like, okay, what part did I play? How did I contribute to the way that this turned out?
Especially
What
when
could
you're a
I do?
parent.
What can I do differently in the future
Mm-hmm.
to better myself and to get a better outcome?
To be a better example.
Yes. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to do. A lot of times the right thing to do is not the easy. It's okay to mess up, make mistakes as long as you can look back and acknowledge it. Okay, what can I do different?
And then sit back and reflect on it. Reflection is a big thing too. I have to remind myself to sit back and reflect on things a lot.
For sure. Journaling is a good way to do that. I just recently got back into journaling. Few months ago, I think I would say September-ish, August, August or September. Just I used to journal all the time. Um, as a kid and even like into my early 20s. Um, I wish I had kept my. That would be really interesting to go through. But I just recently got back in, and it really does help. Like if I can spill my thoughts out on paper, it helps organize my mind better. If I can go back through and read, like, okay, this is what I was going through the past few weeks. Let's assess the situation.
I actually do too. I've been encouraged by two different people to keep journals. One from someone who is going to continue to be a mentor for me and a friend after I complete school. This person is 100% a godsend, and the reason why I go to school where I do and why the timing was perfect for this right now. But anyway, I had been encouraged to do a reflection journal, not really even about school, but as me and as a person reflecting. So, but the first one I did was through my therapist, and it's basically all the negative things. So I keep one for positivity, things that I've acknowledged that I've grown from, and I try to keep them, kind of equally. Like if in the negative one, I'm saying I acknowledged, or I found myself doing this, or I'm frustrated, or I'm mad about this situation or that, whatever. If that situation has turned into a positive, I make the other journal reflect in that. And I make sure to date and kind of explain the scenario and what's going on to make me feel a negative way, and then what or who helped me in the positive way. Am I good
That's
about
awesome.
keeping up with it? Absolutely not. I love to write, but life. So I'll go back and I'll backdate things sometimes. And I've been really bad about it lately, but I need to get back into it kind of because that really, really helps.
For sure. Especially, yeah, as time passes and you experience more things in life, and then you can look back on yourself and see your growth because it's documented.
Mm-hmm. That's why I love reflecting.
Mm-hmm.
That's one reason why I started my TikTok journey when I was first diagnosed with bipolar. Because I knew that I would go back and read. I'm not one to typically do a vlog about it. There's a couple on there, but this is really not my favorite thing to do. I'm really coming out of my comfort zone to do the podcast and do what little bit of videos that I have on TikTok. But if it's going to help somebody, obviously it's easier to do it with someone, but the whole goal is just to help. That's all we want to do.
Yep, that is what we are here for. Second.
So with that, I think we need to wrap this up. Encourage you guys to comment, share, whatever. Lost my words.
Like and subscribe.
Suggestions. That's what I was
friend.
looking for. Suggestions on a topic that you want us to talk about. Tell us that, we're not funny. We need to stop. Or something.
Right. Yeah.
Follow us on TikTok at the Ginger Snap Podcast. We're trying to grow the page there so we can have more people aware of what we're trying to do. Build the community up to help more people.
And if you'd even, you yourself would like to be a guest, give your testimony or give your input on, whatever, DM us. We can definitely set that up. We are, open to anyone and everyone, as long as you can be kind,
Mhm.
be a jerk to people, don't judge. We're all just here to be supportive and help.
For sure.
But yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with us today. Ginger Snap Podcast. We will see you guys next week. Any other thoughts, Rachel?
Just, you already said it, but just another reminder, neither one of us are medical professionals, just two friends who care about people and want to help. And so we're just offering our thoughts and our opinions, more of our experience on how we've coped with bipolar, borderline, and all those things, just mental health in general. Just trying to create a safe space and community for people to talk and open up the conversation.
We are always here. Anytime you guys need us, even if you just need a friend to talk to, somebody to give, an objective point of view to things, DM us, even if you don't want to say so in the comments. We're here for everybody. All right. Well, we will see you guys next week. Have an awesome weekend. And talk to you guys soon.
Bye.